Your memory feels like a hard drive, but it behaves more like a film set. Scenes get rebuilt on demand from scattered props, which meant confidence can rise even when details slide. Here's the core idea in one plain line. Memory is reconstruction, not replay. Therefore, what you recall is a story your brain assembles from hints, habits, and goals. Names and faces prove it every week. You recognize a face from a Tuesday meeting in Prague because faces carry rich patterns and emotions, yet the name slips since it's arbitrary and thin. The brain preserved gist over label, which meant recall leans on meaning before surface. Psychologists have shown this for nearly a century. In the early 1930s, experiments on storytelling found that people reshaped unfamiliar details to fit their expectations. Therefore, the recovered tale felt coherent while drifting from the original. Eyewitness studies in the 1970s added a cautionary note. Suggestive wording changed what people remembered. Reconstruction helps more than it hurts. You don't need a perfect recording to find your car keys. You need useful cues, therefore the brain trims, infers, and fills gaps so action stays fast. The trouble starts when we mistake fluent stories for faithful ones. Next, let's tackle a modern folklore of memory. The Mandela Effect. The Mandela Effect is shared misremembering that feels eerily consistent, which meant many people recall the same wrong detail with high confidence. You've seen the examples in conversation. A cartoon bear family's surname gains an extra vowel in casual talk. A famous board game character grows a monocle he never wore. A movie line mutates into a smoother version. The collective feeling becomes, we all remember this, so reality must have shifted. Story says alternate timelines, evidence says ordinary psychology. We prefer patterns that fit our assumptions, so spelling drifts toward common forms while movie quotes compress into punchier rhythms, therefore the error spreads because it's easier to repeat. Confidence and accuracy diverge because fluency, how easily something comes to mind, masquerades as truth. When a friend insists the line went the other way, treat it like a lab demo. High agreement doesn't certify history, which meant you can check primary sources and still keep the friendship. Shared errors teach us how memory builds through culture, not how physics breaks. Now for a pair of tools that make memory sturdier by partnering with forgetting. Spacing means you study the same material across separated sessions, not crammed together. Retrieval practice means you try to recall from memory before rereading. Forgetting between sessions actually helps. A small dip forces the system to work, which meant the refreshed trace grows stronger and more durable. This was first charted in the late 1800s with the forgetting curve, then revived by modern studies showing spaced quizzing beats massed review. Here's a simple rhythm you can test this week. Study a set of concepts on Monday, quiz yourself on Wednesday, and quiz again next Monday. Each attempt should happen before you feel fully ready, because desirable difficulty cements learning. Swap passive rereading for short, effortful recall. Therefore, your future self spends less time relearning. Use cues that match your test environment. If you need names, practice with clean prompts that force names, not just faces. If you need formulas, write them from memory before checking, which meant you rehearse the exact act you'll need later. Sleep between sessions multiplies gains, so put review windows on the calendar, not in a single marathon evening. Let's move from building memory to bending it with speed. Claims of effortless speed reading promise thousands of words per minute with full comprehension. Your eyes and brain impose a gentler ceiling. Reading depends on rapid eye jumps called saccades and short stops called fixations. You take in a small window of text with each stop, roughly several words. Therefore, moving faster means fewer or shorter fixations and less time to integrate meaning. Comprehension drops first for dense, unfamiliar, or technical material. There is a real trade-off. You can skim faster when you only need gist, which meant headlines, abstracts, and familiar topics tolerate speed. Deep learning slows the eyes so the mind can build connections, question assumptions, and encode structure. A practical rule keeps you honest. Decide your goal before you read. Survey for the map or study for mastery, because one gear cannot do both. When you care about recall a month later, slow down, quiz yourself, and space it out. Next, knit the episode together with a short tour of how these ideas cooperate. Reconstruction explains why confident memories wobble. Spacing and retrieval practice put rails under the parts you value. Realistic pacing guards comprehension, therefore you spend less time surprised by what didn't stick. The result is not photographic memory. It's reliable, useful memory built on purpose. Notice how the numbers guide choices. Spacing across days rather than hours exploits sleep cycles. 2 or 3 short sessions often beat one long session, which meant you can plan study blocks like workouts. Think of October as 4 weekly laps rather than one all-nighter. The calendar becomes a learning tool. Misremembered details still sneak through, of course. When they do, label the uncertainty, then check, because a quick source beats a long argument. Confidence becomes a hypothesis rather than a verdict, which keeps conversations and decisions sane. We've looked at personal memory. Let's end with a puzzle that turns memory into code. A kingdom faces a crisis. One of 1,000 wine bottles holds poison that kills within a night. You have only that one night to identify the bottle. You may use a small team of tasters. Each taster can sip multiple bottles. Any taster who dies by morning marks a clue. Therefore, the pattern of survivors forms a message. The goal is to minimize how many people you need while guaranteeing a unique answer. Think like a computer. Treat each taster as a bit that can end up 0 for alive or 1 for dead, which meant a group of tasters yields a binary number by morning. Label every bottle with a unique binary code, then have each taster drink from the bottles whose codes include their assigned bit. By dawn, the set of fallen tasters spells the poison's code. You read the bits from the pattern and match it to the label. Therefore, one night decodes the culprit without guesswork. The clever part is choosing how many tasters you need so their combinations can cover all 1,000 possibilities. Your challenge is to state the minimum team size and describe your exact labeling scheme in one clean paragraph. Justify why your number of tasters is enough because the power of 2 jumps matter more than the pour. We'll reveal it and highlight the best takes in the next Mind Maze stream. Here's the distilled takeaway. Memory grows by design, bends under expectation, and boosts with spaced retrieval. Believing every fluent story is a trap, which meant stronger habits, not stronger faith, make what you learn last. If this episode sharpened how you study, read, and recall, subscribe for more mind-stretching journeys each week.